I want to welcome you to the first of the National Brain Tumor Society community chats, which we're doing for the National Brain Tumor Awareness Month. I'm Stephen LaFawn. I'll be your moderator today. We're going to discuss the publication, Frankly Speaking, about cancer brain tumors. You're going to have the opportunity to ask questions and to find the brain tumor resources you're seeking, hear what Frankly Speaking has to offer, and learn how you can make a difference in the fight against brain tumors. Our guests today are Allison Harvey from the cancer support community, Lisa McDermott. We also have Lainey Titus Samant, who is the Associate Director of Public Policy for the National Brain Tumor Society. And on our chat window, you have Dr. Terri S. Armstrong, who is a professor of the Department of Family Health at the Utah Health School of Nursing, and she holds the school's prestigious Dunn Distinguished Professorship in Oncology Nursing. With her, also on the chat, is Tom Halkin, who has greeted all of you within the chat window. Our first speaker is Allison Harvey. Allison, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Steve, and hi, everyone. It's nice to be here with you today. This is actually my first video chat, so pleased to be doing it as part of National Brain Tumor Awareness Month. And so just going to talk to you a little bit about how we came to develop this piece. I was heavily involved with working with a number of different people at National Brain Tumor Society and others, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And again, please feel free to ask questions if you feel I'm not, covering something that you would like to know. Feel free to type it in the chat, and we can make sure that it gets addressed. So just a little bit of background about who the cancer support community is. We were formed in 2009 as a result of the merger of the wellness community and Gilda's Club. So the mission of our organization is to provide and to ensure that all people impacted by cancer are empowered by knowledge, strengthened by action, and sustained by community. Our combined organization has more than 50 years of collective experience in providing the highest quality social and emotional support to all people impacted by cancer through a network of more than 50 affiliates, through a vibrant online community, and also other partnerships with hospitals and other organizations. So as part of the programs that we offer is education programming, being our Frankly Speaking series. So this is, our Frankly Speaking series covers a number of topics, including topics that are cancer specific, but then that are also more general that we find relevant to anybody who's been impacted by a cancer diagnosis, such as the cost of cancer care. So all of our content is evidence-based and is reviewed by healthcare professionals as well as people that are impacted by the topic that's being covered. Currently, the cancer support community offers more than 30 topic areas that are relevant to people living with cancer. And so the National Brain Tumor Society was aware of our Frankly Speaking About Cancer series and approached us in 2012 to develop a book for people specifically affected by brain tumors. And this partnership actually came at a wonderful time as we had been receiving feedback from our affiliate network that there was a need for information for somebody who had received a brain tumor diagnosis and their loved ones. And so we just really thought it was an excellent fit, and we're pleased to be able to partner with the National Brain Tumor Society to develop this resource. And so as part of the book development, as I mentioned, we worked with a number of groups and individuals, including Accelerate Brain Cancer Cure, Nucella Foundation, Deanna Glass McKenna, who's a nurse at Johns Hopkins, Dr. Patrick Wynn from Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Ashley Varner, who's a social worker at Anne Arundel Medical Center, as well as with the Johns Hopkins Brain Tumor Education Group, and most importantly, the people and caregivers affected by a brain tumor diagnosis. So this book is actually a little unique to our series in that it does cover information for people with malignant as well as benign tumors, as our organization typically does focus on cancer specifically. So as part of this development, CSC and BTS, ABC Squared, and the Nucella Foundation conducted an online survey at the end of 2012. We had over 380 people respond. 178 of those were adults who'd been diagnosed with a primary brain tumor, and 202 caregivers. Of those diagnosed, almost 35% had a grade 2 tumor at diagnosis. 16% had a grade 3 tumor, and 16% had a grade 4 tumor. And so we asked a number of different questions, including about people's experiences when they were diagnosed, including what kind of information they received at the time of diagnosis. And so surprisingly, 48% of people that participated in the survey responded that their healthcare team did not provide any information to them about brain tumors at the time of diagnosis. And so this was pretty surprising to us because we, as part of our overall programming, we conduct a number of surveys with different patient groups and communities. And while it's usually about a third, not almost 50%. So that was really kind of shocking to know that of those that were participating in the survey were not really receiving a ton of information at the time of diagnosis. And so we also asked people who had been diagnosed and their caregivers if there was information that they wanted but had not received. And again, there were a number of topic areas that were indicated. Roughly 40 to 50% of people indicated these topic areas that they wanted more information on, including managing the fear of death, financial insurance concerns, emotional support, patient assistance programs, information about patient advocacy groups, communicating with others about the diagnosis, how to connect with others going through similar experiences, and as well as legal matters and how to prepare advance directives. And so most people who participated in the survey also reported experiencing feelings of uncertainty about the future, issues with employment, and a decrease in participation in activities. But however, despite these challenges, people did also report finding hope in the experience through a number of ways, including spirituality and personal relationships with others. And as part of, so we had this survey, and then we also conducted a focus group, again, with people who'd received a diagnosis and their loved ones. And many of these issues and themes were reiterated with the in-person focus group. So I think, again, for the cancer support community, it's important when we develop this, any programming, is to also let people know that they're not alone in this experience. While this experience can feel very isolating, that there are people out here, that are going through the same thing. And so trying to convey that message as well in the resources that we develop. And so the information that we gathered from both the survey and the focus group informed how we kind of developed and structured the book. And so if you're not familiar with the book, there are several chapters, and the chapters are, again, really reflective of the information that we gathered. So we talk about the empowerment approach, which I know Lisa will touch on a little bit more when she speaks. Understanding brain tumors, again, just a basic understanding of what it is and how to better ask questions about your diagnosis, potential treatment options, managing common side effects, quality of life, practical considerations. So again, kind of talking about employment, legal matters, how to maybe prepare some advance directives, care for the caregiver, as well as resources. And so the resources section includes a number of groups that offer brain tumor specific support, as well as financial and legal assistance. And so some of the groups that were highlighted, in addition to what the work that National Brain Tumor Society does and the cancer support community, include the Healing Exchange Brain Trust, that people can participate in online support groups and connect with others. The Musella Foundation, again, offering online support as well as some potential financial resources, and as well as the Patient Advocate Foundation. And that is a great organization that if you're struggling with your insurance or other issues, that you can reach out to them and they can provide some assistance. And so the wonderful thing about this resource is that we've, I think it really has helped fill a need that since we've launched the book, we've distributed more than 2,000 copies of the book. So I think, we're hopeful that this is a book that's providing helpful tips and resources to those that are affected by a brain tumor diagnosis. And so there are a number of ways to access the book. You can go online through National Brain Tumors Society's website and download a copy. You can also download a copy through our website, or you can also order a free hard copy if you would like to have something to hold in your hands. And that can be done. Again, our website is www.cancersupportcommunity.org, and we're happy to send you a free copy as well. So with that, I guess I will open it up to any questions you might have about the development process. And actually, I should, before I say that, as part of the focus group, the images that you see in the book are from all people that have been affected by a brain tumor diagnosis. So many of the images were individuals from the focus group that we conducted, and then they graciously, provided, said that they were happy to, lend their face and their stories so that other people, again, could, not feel so alone and isolated in what can be a very isolating time. So again, just to thank those that really did help do all of this. So now I'll open up for questions.
Thank you, Allison. While we're doing that, I just wanted to know that Catherine Blotner, who is actually tweeting, one of the things that she reminds people is that there is a new online support group that includes the hashtag BTSM chats on Twitter on the first Sunday of each month. And you can see in the chat window, she actually has linked to the Liz Army site that has more information on that. One of the questions that came in is actually from John Killian. He's saying that beyond the surprise of 50% of not having much knowledge on their brain tumor, what else did you find interesting?
So I think what else we found interesting was the experience of the caregiver. That may not be, I guess, necessarily a surprise to other organizations that are working day in and day out, people that are working day in and day out with people that are affected by brain tumors. But from, kind of cancer support community perspective, we really did see that caregivers were very heavily involved, maybe more so than other typical cancers, in the decision-making process about treatment, in providing transportation to and from treatment, and just also helping in kind of daily activities of living, so that caregivers really had a very different and unique experience as maybe some others compared to other cancers.
Thank you for that, Allison. One other question, it came from Sandy Perkins. She's wondering how we could get these books to the newly diagnosed. For example, like in Phoenix, they have a lot of brain tumor surgeries at Barrow.
Mm-hmm. So you can just go on to our website, the Cancer Support Community's website, and order copies. Or I'm happy to provide my email address if you'd like to email me directly. I will say, if you do order more than 14 copies, we are a nonprofit organization. So we do ask that people cover the cost of shipping if you're ordering more than 14 copies. So for example, like a hospital, but I can always work with you if it's cost prohibitive to make sure that people can get those resources.
Okay, and a swift question, just one that came in privately before we move on, is can we get a list of caregiver support groups in local areas? So is there a particular list either in the cancer support community or elsewhere which has the current list for caregiver support groups? Sure.
So all cancer support communities typically do offer support groups for caregivers. Again, it would have to be a caregiver of somebody with a cancer diagnosis. But if you just go onto the Cancer Support Community's website, and you can find if there's a cancer support community, Gilded Club Wellness community near you, you can contact them directly and find out the schedule. We do also offer online support groups, and one of those is for caregivers, and it is, again, facilitated by a licensed mental health professional. So that's another opportunity if there isn't an in-person support group near you that you can access support online as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Allison. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Lisa McDermott. Just so for those of you who have not met Lisa before, she is a brain tumor survivor from 2.5 years. She's also a nurse with over 25 years of experience. Currently, she's our Maryland state lead advocate for the National Brain Tumor Society. Because of her passion and dedication to making a difference in the fight against brain tumors, Lisa is very involved in various fundraising activities, such as the Race for Hope in DC, and she started an annual golf tournament, Tee Up for Tumors, to support brain tumor research. She's an inspirational speaker, looking to provide comfort, support, and inspiration to others by sharing her journey. So, Lisa, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, let me just say that I want to welcome everybody on the call. It's great to have all of the participants as well as our speakers. It's a wonderful opportunity to gather together to really rally and really make a difference in this fight. As Allison said, I'd just like to reiterate, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat room and I'll be happy to answer them at any time. Let me just tell you personally from the use of this book that Allison spoke about, I have to tell you that it is a tremendous resource. And it is one that I have found so helpful, not only to me being a patient and a survivor, but also looking at it from the perspective of a nurse. I also had my husband read the book. He thought it was a tremendous resource as well. And what I think is wonderful about the book is that it's laid out very nicely in a very simplistic and yet comprehensive way. And the beauty of the book is that you can look at the book whenever you're ready to look at it, whatever parts you're ready to go to when it's time for you. Keep that in mind that you may look at this book totally different than a loved one or a caregiver may, and you may look at it at different ways and at different speeds. Somebody may read the whole book quickly, somebody may read a chapter and put it away for a few weeks because it's a lot to process, but it's very informative, but each person has to look within inside themselves to determine what makes the most sense for them and when they're ready to receive the information. Having said that, that leads us into empowerment. Taking control about how you feel, about what you want to do, and about what your thoughts on the quality of life that you are going to be leading. Being diagnosed with a brain tumor is a major life-changing event. And for those of you that have been there as a patient or survivor, or those that are family members that have lost a loved one or are caregivers, you have to see that it is such a loss of control. Where do you begin to start to take control? And in the very first chapter, again, extremely helpful, there are 10 points that are listed, and it's actually on page 4 for those of you that have had the opportunity to look at the book. And you may say to yourself, they seem very simple, but really they're very, very deep and soul-reaching in that you have to look within inside yourself. And when you really embrace the thoughts that are expressed on that particular page, you will feel empowered. And keep in mind that it is a journey. This isn't something that you just switch today and you feel empowered tomorrow in a big picture way. It's something that you do little by little by little with some of the simplest decisions that can really make a difference. And as you read through this book, you may read through it many, many times. And each and every time you read through it, you may learn something different. I can speak to that and tell you that I've read through this several times. And every time I read it, I really learned something new that I didn't read the previous time that I read it. One of the first things it talks about is really taking one day at a time. And that's really when you have to deal with being diagnosed with a brain tumor. A lot of things that you used to get caught up with in your life really may not seem as important because now you've been brought to the core of fighting for your life and fighting this terrible disease. So some things that are very simple in how you structure your day or how you take care of your family, that comes to the forefront, and you want to take a moment and really think about those and keep it very simple. It may just be accomplishing one particular task today and then moving on to something different tomorrow. It isn't necessarily looking way, way into the future, but literally taking it one day at a time. And during my recovery, sometimes it was 1 hour at a time, Sometimes it was literally 1 minute at a time. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's what's right for you as an individual. Partnering with your healthcare team, this is so important. Again, speaking from being a patient and a nurse, having the trust in your healthcare team is vital. Feeling comfortable that you have the opportunity to ask questions and that you have that connection, because you put your life literally in their hands and you spend an awful lot of time with them. Not only you, but your family. And one of the things that I found very helpful is that when you have the opportunity to go and meet with your healthcare providers, whether it's on a regular basis or it kind of spreads out as you become more stabilized in your recovery, think about questions when you have a quiet time and write them down. You think you will remember them when you go to the doctor's office, but you really may not. And not only that, write your answers. And if you feel overwhelmed, which we all do, and that's totally normal, you have somebody come with you, whether it's a spouse or a mother or a father or a sister or brother or friend, whoever, have them come and write the information down for you. Again, this is the way you become involved in your care. You understand it, and it helps you to begin to take control of what's going on because you have a better understanding. It's not knowing that causes a lot of fear, and sometimes knowing can cause fear, but being informed is very, very important. And that's a way that you can say, you know what? I need to go in today to this doctor's appointment and I need to take control. I have questions. They're going to give you information that they need to give you, but make sure you leave there with the information that you feel you need. The next one is ask your family and friends for help. And that's so important. One of the things that my physician shared with me is that, remember, Lisa, you are the patient and you are the core of this. And the way you handle this will set the tone for how others handle it. Okay. And a lot of people will want to help you, but they may not know how. So it could be something as simple as saying, can you take me to my appointment? Or can you grab my son or daughter from the bus? Or maybe can you just come over to my house and sit quietly with me in the sun? And let's listen to some music, or let's just talk, just chat and just have some quiet time together. People will really appreciate having the opportunity to help you because sometimes they don't know what to do. And sometimes it can be the simplest things that make the biggest difference. The other one is to reach out to other brain tumor survivors. And I think this is an amazing, amazing tip. Sometimes it's really hard to articulate what you feel and what you have gone through. But when you sit across the table or you stand next to another individual that has walked the journey that you have walked, sometimes words don't need to be expressed. There's an automatic connectivity there that is very, very powerful. And I feel that I have grown so much. I would never want anybody to have a brain tumor, as all of us feel that way. But you know what I've learned along the way? I have met so many amazing people. And I've had the opportunity to connect with all of you today. So that makes such a difference to me. That is a powerful tip. And really, just as you feel that connection, others will feel the connection. Whether it's a survivor or it's a family member that has lost a loved one, or talking to a caregiver, because there's a lot of words sometimes that can't really be expressed, but there's that bond that establishes a relationship that can blossom and provide both of you support as you continue to develop the relationship. Acknowledge and express your feelings. This can be a tough one. This one requires something from my experience, again, where you sometimes really have to let yourself go deep within your feelings and really think about what you're feeling and really acknowledge it. And it can be very painful. It can be very painful. It can be very scary. Some people will say, well, I don't really feel that I want to do that. And that's okay. You have to decide what works for you. There is no right or wrong way to do it. It's what is right for you as an individual. Some people will say, I don't want to really, now that I've gone through my recovery, I really don't want to talk about it. I've kind of closed the door and I moved on. That's fine. If that's what's works for you, you kind of do that reflection and you have the opportunity to actually say to yourself, I'm not ready to do that right now. It may look different in a week, 2 months, 6 months, whatever the case may be. Others may say, I have to dig deep and I have to release it. But regardless of what the outcome is for you, you just take some quiet time and you think about it to yourself. And that's a very powerful moment and a very powerful opportunity to get in touch with yourself, because you're dealing with so much. Really dig down deep and really see what you're feeling. And whatever you decide to do and however you decide to handle it, that's right for you. Establish a reasonable amount of control over your life. These are some examples of what I'm talking about. And you can also go to some simple things. For example, today I want to take a walk outside, or I want to go outside for a stroll under the stars tonight. Or you know what? I'm going to actually do the steps by myself with one person assisting me. Or you know what? I'm going to actually, make my lunch today. Okay. It doesn't have to be anything big when you're dealing with the recovery phase of things. And as you move through your journey, give yourself small goals to accomplish, and you just do it one day at a time. And that's how you build up where you have come from and where you're going to go. One of the things I feel as a survivor I've learned, and also as a nurse that I would share with my patients, is that see where you are today, celebrate where you want to go tomorrow, based on where you were yesterday. So you say to yourself, this is where I am today, but geez, where was I 2 or 3 weeks ago? And that gives you the belief, the faith, and the inner strength to say, you know what? I can't imagine where I'm going to be tomorrow or next week, but I know it's going to be better than where I am today. And it's really learning to celebrate each and every accomplishment, each and every day. The next one is learn to relax. And sometimes this is so hard when we're trying to deal with so many things and we have our technology in front of our faces, although thank goodness for technology, that's what's giving us an opportunity to connect today. But really, it's really taking that quiet time and really relaxing, whatever, listening to music, taking a stroll, having quiet time, sitting, laughing with friends, baking with your daughter, whatever the case may be, but really taking the time to relax. And I do share this with individuals, that I've shared my story with, and it's this, that each and every day you should make a commitment to yourselves, that you take a moment and you really enjoy the simple things in life, whatever it is for you. Because it's really at that moment that you have the greatest sense of inner peace and calmness. And that's a true blessing. You deserve it. Take that moment. Don't waste it, because we know too well it can be gone in a flash. Make healthy lifestyle choices. We still want to be healthy with our bodies and pay attention to dealing with what we're dealing with regards to having a brain tumor or being a family member of an individual that was diagnosed with a brain tumor. But don't lose focus of keeping generally healthy. Obviously, exercising, walking, strolling. Be, aware of what you eat and just keeping your body healthy in general, because your body is fighting the fight against the brain tumor. And so you want to keep it healthy. And I think generally when you do that, you generally feel well as an individual. You want to find a new perspective. One of the things that I've learned, and again, this is self-exploratory for everybody. There's no right or wrong, but one of the things I have learned and have found a newfound perspective on my life is that you can't always control what happens to you in your life, but you can control what you do with what you've been given and embrace it. Take the hope that you have and really trying to be positive in your life. When I say being positive in your life and defining what the quality of life is, those all go together. It doesn't always necessarily mean that you're always going to be upbeat per se. What it does mean is that you're going to find a new perspective. You're going to see what you have in front of you and how you make the most of it. And it may look very, very different than what you had expected prior to being diagnosed with the brain tumor or having lost a loved one, but it's embracing it and receiving what is yet to come in a way that allows you to grow and move forward. I've had the opportunity to do that. Working with the National Brain Tumor Society has been an amazing experience, and I have reached out to them and they have embraced me, and I have had an opportunity to grow in this particular way in a journey that I wouldn't even have expected or even really anticipated. But sometimes when you let go and you relax and you make the choice to say, you know what, I'm going to change the way I look at this, and this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to begin to move forward in my new normal life, if you will. And you can find hope in many things: your family, your friends, your faith, spirituality. Along the way, I can speak from my personal experience that we have used humor a lot sometimes. It releases stress. It can make you laugh sometimes, and it can really just sometimes take the edge off. There really is no rhyme or reason as to how you walk your journey. Everybody has a journey to walk. And as I tell so many people, everybody has a story to tell. And really, when you tell it from deep within your heart, people will listen, they'll feel it, and they will remember it. And this book has helped me to embrace my journey, has helped me to embrace with what I've had to deal with and give me a different perspective that I may not have had otherwise, because I found it as a comfortable, I guess maybe like a warm blanket at times, when I would read something and say, wow, I felt that way. It wasn't me just being like crazy or not really knowing what I'm doing. Again, looking at it from a patient's perspective and as a nurse's perspective, this is a wonderful resource that I would love to be able to share with patients so they have something to put their hands on. Because once the patient touches this, or a family member or a caregiver has this resource in their hands, that's when it's the most valuable, because it's to the heart of those individuals that really need it. So thank you very much for your time, and I'm open to take any questions.
Thanks so much, Lisa, for that. That was, really great. I appreciate you sharing your experience with us, as well as going for on how, frankly speaking, worked for you and your husband. John Killian asks, what was the most challenging issues that you faced?
For me, I think the most challenging issue was really two things. One was I was really focused on managing, my family. I was actually found myself being more worried about my family than I was about myself. And maybe that was a distraction for me. So making sure that they were okay and everybody was informed and knew what was going on. And I think the second thing was I wanted to be strong for them. Just to give you a little background, my mother is a retired nurse. My sister and my sister-in-law are also nurses. And I myself being a nurse, where that challenge fed into that was that sometimes knowing a lot can be even scarier than not knowing as much. And so there were certain times when I connected with my family that are healthcare providers that we sat in silence, no words were said, but we knew what was really being communicated, and really trying to be strong and positive, knowing everything I know as a healthcare provider, and yet being strong for my family, because I wanted them to know that I believe that I could beat this. I can do it. I will come home and I will be with them.
Great answer. I mean, that and with the follow-up to that, I mean, like Catherine was asking basically what it was like with that shift as a caregiver or nurse to the patient perspective.
It was an extremely humbling experience because as a nurse, I educate my patients on where they're going and what's happening and giving them all the clinical educational expertise that I myself have learned. But to be in the shoes of them now, when I would work in a hospital, that was my home away from home. And when I went into the hospital as a patient, it was so extremely humbling. And one of the things I specifically remember was going into the MRI. And I thought to myself, how many patients have I pre-medicated and educated on actually going into an MRI? And I thought to myself, I'd never been in an MRI. And one of the things I said to my MRI tech, I said, that MRI looks like a little ho-ho, because I love ho-hos, and I'm thinking food's on the brain, But when I was in there, I thought to myself, I had really no idea. It was such a humbling experience. And as painful as this journey has been for myself and my family, that is something that is a priceless gift that I treasure. And I always hope that I can transfer over to patients and families as they continue to walk their journey. I have a whole new perspective. And I also like to share that with healthcare providers to celebrate what they do, but to kind of take a moment out and say, you know what? This is what it really feels like. This is really what it's all about.
That's great. Diane was asking if you could tell us what treatments you'd had done.
My treatment was primarily a craniotomy, and it was a 12-hour craniotomy. I did not have to have any radiation or chemotherapy. Thank goodness for that, because I had a meningioma. I still do have a piece of the tumor. It's about a half-inch by quarter-inch. And as a result of the tumor where it was located, the vision in my left eye is not very good. It's primarily gone. We watched the tumor that's left in there in my brain to make sure it doesn't cross over to my right optic nerve, because ultimately if I lost vision in that, my functionality would decrease tremendously. And that's what I went through. So I continue to have my MRIs and my follow-ups, and they watch my vision very, very closely. And that's primarily what I went through for my main treatment.
Thank you so much, Lisa. But I'm going to bring on Lainey in just a second. But what I was wondering is if I know that Allison is still on the line, and I wanted to have her hold up a copy of the book, and I'm just going to bring that up for you guys. And so there it is. Frankly speaking, about cancer, brain tumors. We have the resources available, and also, as you know, this will be up very, all over the place. Again, Lisa, thank you so much for the story. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
What I'm going to do is I am going to introduce Lainey Titus Samant. She's the Associate Director of Public Policy at the National Brain Tumor Society. She spent much of her career in Massachusetts government, first as the Chief of Staff for the state representative, and later in the legislative affairs for the Massachusetts Nurses Association. Prior to becoming an employee of the National Brain Tumor Society, she served as Team Chair of Boston Brain Tumor Walk for a number of years in honor of her father, who passed away from a brain tumor in 2009. And so I'm going to bring her up in just a second as we pop our way over. Hello, Lainey.
Hello, been unmuted.
There you go.
Thank you. Well, thanks so much for all of you for being here today. And I'm also glad to see some of our brain tumor advocates on the chat. I saw your names pop up. So we'll talk about your important role in a little bit. So we've talked already about options that you have for treatment and ways to advocate for the best treatment for yourself or your loved ones. So what I'm going to talk about now is what the National Brain Tumor Society is doing to ensure that brain tumor patients have access to treatment, better treatment options, and ultimately that we can find a cure. So first, I'll give you a brief overview of some of the programs that we're currently working on to accelerate brain tumor drug development and research. And then I'll talk about ways that you can get more involved as part of our brain tumor community. So I don't think we've mentioned today, but as you may know, nearly 700,000 men, women, and children are living with brain tumors in the U.S. today, and close to 70,000 more will be diagnosed this year. Obviously, those are not just numbers; those are our family members and friends, our loved ones. So this is, something we need to take action now to make sure we're getting the right treatments and finding a cure. So the good news is that medical research has made significant strides in recent years, and there are definitely more promising discoveries ahead. However, that hasn't yet translated into better research, better treatment options for people with brain tumors. So, as all of you probably know, there are limited treatment options. So with that in mind, we're more committed than ever to making positive change. As the largest brain tumor organization in the country, we're focusing on medical research for adult and pediatric brain tumor patients. And we want to effectuate change in the research and drug development system wherever it's needed to make sure that we can get treatments and ultimately find a cure for brain tumors. So here at NBTS, we're working in close partnership with top research scientists, with leaders from the pharmaceutical and biotech industries, and leaders within the federal government. So that includes Congress, the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and National Institutes of Health, which is the NIH. And the goal of the collaboration is to serve as an agent of change, to really find where the impediments are, the barriers, and break down those barriers to make sure we're getting new treatments. And we're doing that because we need to bring hope to those of you who are counting on us, and everyone that has a brain tumor and everyone whose loved one has a brain tumor. So I'll go through and share some of our major initiatives with you now. Obviously, these are all made possible by the support of our community through our events and donations. But I will admit, when I talk about this, some of what I talk about is a little bit sciencey, as we say sometimes. So feel free to ask questions either through the use of the chat box or at the end of my presentation if you have any questions on the details of any of these programs. So one thing we've been working on recently is our clinical trial endpoints initiative, which is a collaborative of top researchers, patient advocacy organizations such as ours, the pharmaceutical industry, and the FDA. And we're doing that to determine the impediments to brain tumor drug development. We'll also look if there's a way to restructure clinical trials that are more conducive to developing new treatments. So as you may or may not know, there have only been 4 FDA-approved therapies for brain tumors that have made it to the market in the last 30 years. So clearly there's a need for new therapies for brain tumor patients so that not only can they eradicate their tumors, but also allow them to better manage the tumor and its symptoms. So what are some of those impediments that we're seeing to brain tumor drug development? A number of the issues are related to the ability within a trial to accurately measure whether a new treatment is truly delivering an effective benefit to patients. So in the world of clinical trials, we call those endpoints. That's the name of the initiative, clinical trial endpoints. So the primary endpoint or goal is routinely used in brain tumor drug evaluations is the extension of overall survival for patients. So other endpoints that may be used are things that might relate to the reducing of symptoms of brain tumors, so cognitive functions, that sort of thing. So the FDA does have the potential to approve therapies based on these other endpoints, such as relieving symptoms, but overall survival does remain the most widely used and primary measure for most clinical trials today. This is difficult because clinical trials that look at overall survival are really the hardest to conduct, so that can be problematic. I should also mention here, just as we're talking about clinical trial endpoints, so Dr. Armstrong, who is helping us out here on the chat. She's one of our key advisors for the initiative, so while we're talking about this, feel free to ask her any questions you might have. She would know a lot of the details about our clinical trial endpoints work. So the bottom line of what we're trying to accomplish with this initiative is we're trying to get a more clear-cut path through the regulatory process for drug development, including an environment that really fosters accelerated approval based on those acceptable alternative endpoints, such as the symptoms that we talked about. So if we can accomplish that goal, we really think that the biotech and pharmaceutical companies will be more inclined to invest in this area of drug development because they are able to have that accelerated approval and therefore would increase the pipeline of new treatment options for brain tumor patients. Again, the bottom line, just getting more treatment options to patients. So this is something that we're really excited about. We had one workshop in January. There was a great conversation there. Everyone was really enthused by what was discussed, and we're going to have a follow-up workshop this coming October. So you can make sure to check all of this information out on our website to find out more information. But that is a brief overview of what we're doing, our work with the FDA and the clinical trial endpoints. So moving along to our another exciting initiative that we are working on right now is our Defeat GBM Research Collaborative. As many of you know, I've seen some of you mention in the chat box family members that are affected by GBM. GBM is the most common type of malignant brain tumor and also the most aggressive form of brain cancer. So our Defeat GBM initiative is our largest and boldest initiative to date, and it's something we're very excited about. It's the goal of the Defeat GBM initiative is to double the 5-year survival rate of GBM patients in just 5 years. So it will have a major impact. And we're committed to raising a minimum of $10 million to develop this research program. So what we're doing with Defeat GBM is we're looking to replicate some of the scientific successes and accountable funding models that we've seen used by other disease groups, for example, breast cancer, multiple myeloma, and Parkinson's. But those successes haven't yet been realized in brain tumor research. So the main point is to really foster collaboration among leading researchers and investigator teams so we can achieve accelerated results and improve patient survival. So what we do under Defeat GBM is multiple research projects are happening under the umbrella of the project at the same time. So as opposed to the standard system of happening sequentially. So with everything happening at the same time, we're hoping that will allow us to quicken the pace of discovery, to transfer that knowledge that's learned through the research into drug development, to also identify the right biological targets for treatment, so what aspect are we trying to treat, and to improve clinical trials. So all things that desperately need to happen to extend the lives of GBM patients. So really, we're looking to surpass the current moderate results that we're seeing and the lengthy drug development process, to make things more accelerated and to have much better results. So again, this is a very exciting and promising initiative, and we'll hope you'll visit our website to learn more if you're interested about that. So I think we'll be sharing the link with you if we haven't already. Next up, we have Project Impact, which is our newest initiative, and that is, it's called Project Impact, Driving to a Cure for Pediatric Brain Tumors. So it's a continuation of our past critical work in brain tumor research, and it leverages unprecedented collaborations that we've built in the pediatric brain tumor field to address key barriers that are slowing the drug development process for children diagnosed with brain tumors. And through Project Impact, we're specifically looking at kids with high-grade gliomas. So our pediatric research initiative, through this, we thought it was important to go above just issuing grants for research. And what we want to do is instead actively develop a program that will address those barriers to progress along the drug development pipeline through a combination of public policy as well as funded research programs. So to accomplish that, we'll lead stakeholders in the field and some of the leaders in the field of research and pediatric brain tumor treatment to improve the drug discovery and development pipeline, create a novel preclinical platform for testing drugs, so before they go into clinical trials, and to optimize the pediatric clinical trial process through new approaches to trial design, funding, and improvements in regulatory protocols. So when working with regulations both in the US and in Europe. So those are some of the exciting things we have going on there. And so just to talk now a little bit about the work that I do, something that's near and dear to my heart, and we have some folks on the chat who can really attest to the power of our advocacy program. But I'm able to work with our amazing brain tumor advocates. So part of our work to find a cure is we also mobilize volunteer advocates across the country to increase awareness of brain tumors, but also to support public policies, which will result in better treatments, as well as improve the quality of life for all those affected by brain tumors. So our public policy and advocacy program has really worked tirelessly along with our actually, we have a new count of advocates now, 29,000 advocates from across the country, which is really exciting, to write, call, meet with members of Congress and raise important policy issues to their members of Congress. So we would encourage all of you, if you're interested, to become a brain tumor advocate, and so that you can yourself let your members of Congress know about the issues that are important to the brain tumor community. You can go onto our website, braintumor.org/advocate for change to sign up. We'll send you updates on our public policy work, and we'll also send you ways to take action by contacting your members of Congress. The best part about that is we make it really, really easy. What we'll do is we'll send you an email. You'll click on the link. You'll just have to fill out your name and address. You can add a personal message if you'd like, and it will automatically send an email to your member of Congress. So very easy. And while a lot of our advocacy work takes place from the comfort of our advocate's own home or office, we also hold an annual Washington, D.C. based advocacy event, which is on Capitol Hill every year, and it's called Head to the Hill. If you haven't attended before, please keep it in mind for next year, next May, because it's a really inspiring, amazing event. This year's Head to the Hill was on May 5th and 6th, just a few weeks ago, and it was our largest to date, with 135 advocates from 30 states attending to meet with their members of Congress. And our advocates really shined. I mean, they shared their stories. They made a really positive impression on everyone they met. And not only that, but they had a true impact. What we've learned is we saw that right after our event, we gained co-sponsors on a number of the bills that will really improve conditions and improve access to treatment for our brain tumor advocates. So please visit our Facebook page and go to our photo album to see pictures of our Head to the Hill event. And we really hope that you'll save the date for next year, May 4th and 5th, to join us for Head to the Hill 2015. So besides advocacy and Head to the Hill, there are definitely other ways to get involved in the brain tumor community throughout the year. So one thing you can do is you can join with other members of the community at one of our local events, which will go towards supporting those research initiatives and advocacy program that I talked about. So we host 18 events a year, and that list is growing across the country, and that includes walks, races, and rides. And these events all help, as I said, raise the vital funds we need for the programs in research and public policy. So please take a look at our website and find an event in your area, and we hope you'll come out and join us. If there isn't one in your area, as I said, there are 18, so we can't have them in every city and state right now, but we can help you plan your own event. I know many people will start an event in their area, invite their family and friends, and the money raised will go towards supporting our mission and our programs. So please check out our website, braintumor.org/takeaction, for information on and all of that. You can also become more involved than just attending the events by joining an event committee or staffing an event, volunteering on the day of, or raising awareness about brain tumors. So one way to do that is really through being connected with us on social media. So Facebook, Twitter. I know some of you are already connected there, and it's great to see you involved. So just make sure to keep joining, hear about what we're doing, and be part of the conversation with the brain tumor community. And also, finally, you can always make a gift, a financial gift, at any time, again, on braintumor.org. So just in closing, on behalf of the National Brain Tumor Society, thank you again so much for joining us today. And I guess if you can only remember one thing that we talked about today, it's just together we're stronger than this disease. So together we can meet the urgent needs of our community to discover new treatments, improve lives, and ultimately find a cure. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Lainey. While we're at it, one of the questions that came in was from Patty, who of course was in our Arizona delegation, and you're talking about how we can assist in setting up local events and everything to kind of like raise that awareness. And she's wondering how we can get more people to even participate. What steps people can take for the 2015 Head to the Hill, for example, in order to try to boost more folks coming to represent their states.
That's great. Well, thanks, Patty. I think for people like Patty and Sandy and Michael and Kate and Lisa, all these people on the call that were at Head to the Hill, I think talk about Head to the Hill as much as you can. We want to really increase the number of people that are there and really talk about the impact. So share on Facebook, share the photo album we have on Facebook, and just keep the conversation going. Let's not wait until next spring to invite people. Let's make sure we're continuing to tell people throughout the year that this is an amazing event and you really need to be there, because if we're going to move policy change for the brain tumor community, this is a way to do it, by all joining together, showing the power we have as a community. So just keep talking about it. We can make sure to keep sending emails to remind everyone that it's coming up, and just keep spreading the word. I think the word from all of you, like Patty and the rest who attended Head to the Hill, that's very valuable. Hearing your experience personally is really going to help recruit new people.
Thank you. For those folks, we have about 3 minutes left. So I was wondering if anyone has any questions in the group chat that you have for any of our speakers. Feel free to enter them and we can ask them and perhaps have them answer for you aloud. While we're waiting for those questions, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are recording this. The replay will be available, and we're going to send it to all of you who have registered. We'll also be sharing it through social media. While we're at it, if you have any advice, knowledge, or things that you'd like to share, you can do that as part of our #BTVoice campaign, which we're doing on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all social media. You just have to give us your tips, your tricks, things you didn't know that you now know that you think that other people would benefit from, and you can do that to #BTVoice. You can also go to the BT Voice page, which you can get to at braintumor.org/BTAM. And here's a question, actually, Lainey, I think that this is for you. When does HR 1801 come up for a vote? We have the sponsors, but when does the House actually vote on the bill?
Sure. So this, just for all of you that aren't familiar with HR 1801, this is a bill for oral chemotherapy parity. It would allow brain tumor patients who are taking oral chemotherapy. Many patients do. They take Temodar. So it's legislation that would make sure it's being covered on the same level, the same basis as IV chemotherapy. For some patients, it's covered at a much higher rate. You're seeing thousands of dollars in copays. So right now, the bill does have a lot of co-sponsors, 6 more in the past couple of weeks, thanks to Head to the Hill participants who lobbied their members of Congress. But right now, it's still pending before the committee. So it would have to pass out of that committee before it came up for a vote. We don't have a date yet on when that will happen, but that's something we continue to work on with our members of Congress, asking for it to move through the legislative process. But we'll be sure, if you're signed up for the advocacy list, we'll be sure to keep you posted if this is going to be coming up for a vote or moving out of the committee, so that you can contact your members of Congress.
Great. Well, on behalf of everybody here at the National Brain Tumor Society, I'd like to thank all of our guests today for coming in, as well as all of our participants. We are archiving this. Please make sure to follow us at NBTS Tweets to get the latest news concerning the brain tumor community.